little more succinct. Okay, my name is Shelley White, and I'm with the Social Justice Institute at Case Western Reserve University. Today we are interviewing Jeannie Joy as part of the Voicing in Action project. So I'll tell you what, I want to start off, if you don't mind giving us your name and telling us how you're affiliated with the city of East Cleveland.
My name is Jeannie Joy, and I lived in East Cleveland for a short period of time, but I remember when I was a little bitty girl, knee-high to a duck, we used to go to East Cleveland to visit my auntie and uncle all throughout the years, and also I spent a little bit of time in East Cleveland. So I'm excited about East Cleveland and visiting East Cleveland. It was definitely a rewarding experience.
Okay, so you said you used to visit your aunt and uncle.
Yes.
Do you remember what age you were?
I was approximately like 13 years old until adult
Okay.
for a long period of time.
So between 13 and the time you were an adult, that's the time you spent in East Cleveland?
Exactly,
Okay.
exactly,
So
periodically.
what was it about the city itself, or maybe it was your family affiliation, but what was it about the city that made such an impression on you?
I remember coming to East Cleveland to visit my family members, and it was just so rewarding to go to East Cleveland because it was a clean place, it was manicure lawn, it was big mansions there, and I can remember each time I attempt to go to East Cleveland, in my mind and my family members used to we always say, you better check yourself before you wreck yourself going to East Cleveland, because they were so strict on their rules and regulations. So we had to make sure that our clothes was right, shoes was right, hair was right, because they had a stigma about East Cleveland, going to East Cleveland, because you had to go to East Cleveland straight. Don't look to the right, don't look to the left. You had to go to East Cleveland, and it had to be definitely a straight. It was just a mental thing, like going into a different world, because East Cleveland back in the 70s had a definitely high standard, and it was definitely a privilege to come to East Cleveland to visit and just to feel that as that strength of community in the homes and the wonderful experience that you will receive being there.
Okay, that sounds wonderful. What did your aunt and uncle, what was their occupation? Did they did they work in East Cleveland as well?
They had a home in East Cleveland. They were the first black family on their street, Sycamore Street, or if not the first family, was close to the first family. My uncle worked at VA hospital, and his wife was a stay-at-home wife
Okay.
and mom.
Okay, and did you have cousins who went to school in East Cleveland?
I did. The Morrison family, their complete family, went to Shaw High School and the other high schools in East Cleveland. So they have a family that was their roots, and it's still their roots to the day. Everybody there.
So everyone still lives in East
Still,
Cleveland?
the grandkids, great-grandkids, so that is definitely
so it's
a tradition.
Generational.
Period.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So since you've told me that, so what is it that you think keeps them there and has kept them there?
Well, I think that with their parents living there, and the kids always close to the parents, they were a very close-knit family. So that's all they know is East Cleveland. And just to think back to the day, the whole Mason family is in East Cleveland. They have fond memories of East Cleveland, so everybody is just there in the surrounding areas. And they enjoy it. And they know it from the front to the back, the 2.5 miles around East Cleveland, and they definitely know it.
Okay, so what types of things do they say about East Cleveland, or have they shared with you over the years? If they've been there since the 70s, that spans about 40 years.
Yes.
And there's been a lot of activity economically, politically, socially in the city of East Cleveland. So what are some of the things that your family has shared with you over the years about the climate of East Cleveland, the way things have changed in East Cleveland? And again, why are they still there in East Cleveland? If that's something you can answer.
Well, First of all, they're still there because that's all they know, and they own property, and my uncle is retired now.
And they're homeowners.
They're homeowners, been homeowners forever. And the other reason why they're there because they have values and roots there, and they can remember, to my understanding, that's their first piece of property.
Okay.
So the whole family grew up in this one home, and with my uncle retiring now, and their home is been paid for centuries, that they are excited about still being there.
Okay.
Wouldn't think or dream of going anyplace else. The best looking house to this day is on the same property. And the reason why they stay there is because of the history there, the remembrance of it. They don't plan on moving or leaving or going any place. And the family, everybody is a part of it. You can just call them Mr. and Mrs. East Cleveland now, too.
Okay. So in what ways do you think the city has changed since the time that you were a child and your interaction with your family over these years? What things in your mind stand out as being a major change?
Well, three things I feel that changed. First of all, it's very clear that the East Cleveland has changed. I'm going to start with the past. In the past, to me, in my mind, it was a prestige city. It was friendly, warm, welcoming to go to East Cleveland. You went to East Cleveland, I don't remember seeing any trash in the streets. I don't remember seeing any homes that wasn't clean or manicure. And my cousins used to remind you if you threw any trash on any areas that you're going to have to pick that up right now. There's no waiting period. And also I remember driving through East Cleveland, and before I even passed Case Western Reserve, I checked to make sure my horn was right, the lights was right, my car was running well, nothing that attracts the police officers to me, nothing that attracts your attention. Because in our mind, we used to say, when you go into East Cleveland, you have to tiptoe through East Cleveland because we don't want any attention and distractions going into East Cleveland. And also, one of my family members, which I was staying with at that time because my mother had passed, she had mentioned to me that she was moving to East Cleveland on 2nd Avenue. And she said, I'm moving to East Cleveland. And we had an apartment together. She said, I'm moving to East Cleveland. Are you going to East Cleveland with me? I said, oh, no, I'm not going to East Cleveland, because I knew that I wanted to do what I wanted to do. And I used to go out partying and having a good time, and not drinking, but just having a good time, and like nice music. And I knew you couldn't turn up your music a certain volume, and you could not go through East Cleveland certain times of night. It was like a stigma. And to this day, I talk to people who remember old school 40 years ago, and everybody is amazing, have the same three perspectives about East Cleveland. That it was definitely a well-respected community. It was definitely an area that you wanted to be a part of or either live there, and you knew the quality was there. Bringing it up to today, I lived in East Cleveland for several months, and it just brought tears to my eyes to see how East Cleveland has changed. And it just really hurt me. In the house that I lived in, I would go in front of the house, and it was last year, and just look around. And in front of the house, it was an abandoned building. In the back of the house was an abandoned building. And on both sides, it was an abandoned building. And that was unheard of, ever unthought of. I never could envision East Cleveland like that. I've been gone for 30 years and came back, and it seemed like it was from a movie theater, one of the fabulous East Cleveland movies of being in East Cleveland, living in East Cleveland, to a nightmare. And it just felt like I wasn't comfortable there. So I knew after several months that I wasn't going to stay, because this is not the East Cleveland that I have embedded in my mind. And when I left and moved to Atlanta with my son, I can still remember East Cleveland. If you stated that you was from East Cleveland and you mentioned East Cleveland, it brought a smile to people's face, stating that you were part of East Cleveland. People spoke highly of East Cleveland because East Cleveland was one of the prestige cities all around the United States. But now it has a negative impact. So to me, I think it went from a dream to a nightmare. And I just still feel so unease because I remember what was a millionaire row.
So what type of things do you think contributed, if I can use the word decline, to the decline of the climate in East Cleveland?
I believe concerning the homeowners to renters, that was a big factor. Then I think that drugs had a big impact. Drugs, from having drugs sold in East Cleveland or drugs came to East Cleveland or they stopped at East Cleveland, had plenty and many of drug homes in East Cleveland. And I think that there's the generation of I call them new school, the 30 years and under, I call them new school. The mindset is totally different. And just speaking and talking to other people, they mentioned that East Cleveland was at one point, a lot of people were working class, and now they're non-working class. Well, I disagree because I'm a proud person from the projects. I'm 40 from Quincy in the projects, and 90% of the people in the projects do not work. And we did not have that mindset. Even from the projects, we kept the projects clean. We had flowers and no paper on the floor. It's a mindset. We respected each other. We cleaned our hallways. We called people Mr. and Mrs. We had a handle on the name, on the person, elderly's name. So I don't think it's a working or non-working class. I think it's how you present yourself, how you was raised, how you feel about yourself and other people's property. When you move into somebody's property, you take care of it like it was your own property. You keep things clean and nice and neat. So if you ever decide to transition to someplace else, someone should be able to move in right away. Not you tear up the properties and they take months and months and months and months to fix it back up. That's time delay. And I think that is a mindset that needs to be brought up and addressed.
So you're saying that the type of people, or maybe the class of people, changed in East Cleveland, and then that in and of itself changed the whole outlook on East Cleveland?
I don't think I think that with I would say the type of people, their background, their roots is not the same as, I'll say, old school, because we were taught to respect each other, respect the property, just like it was your own. So I think that the upbringing has a lot to do with it, and the mindset has a lot to do with it. I don't think it has anything to do with working class or non-working class people.
Okay. But you mentioned earlier that you thought maybe it was because the people who lived in East Cleveland primarily at that time were homeowners, and that folks coming into the city were renting. So how do you see that disparity as something that could attribute to what has taken place in East Cleveland?
Homeowners have a different perspective. They have pride. They keep their property and anything that they buy up because you purchase that. You work every day to get this item, so you're not going to let it be destroyed. So any homeowner had pride painting and cleaning and fixing up, because it's all about the maintaining of the property. And you live in that property, so you see it every day. And you're going to make sure your value of your home stay at a high level just in case you need to sell.
Okay.
When you're renting, you have a different perspective. When you're renting, you don't take as much pride in it. And with the younger people renting, they don't value as much, and they feel that it's somebody else's problem. If you tell the owner that something needs fixing right away, it can be addressed. But if you wait 4 or 5 months and it get worse, no good. Especially when you have kids and the kids helping destroy the property. And the owners can't keep up because you're paying a certain amount of rent. And that rent is for rent, not for every month you painting, fixing up, people destroying the toilet, kids tearing up. That's coming from maintenance in your behavior, and I think that has a lot to do with it.
So you mentioned about home ownership. What other things do you think have impacted the city of East Cleveland? Say, for instance, race and racism. Do you think that at all has played a part in the manifestation of all the circumstances that are surrounding East Cleveland?
I think with race, at one point, and I really don't remember, but they mentioned that it was more Caucasian there than African American, but that wasn't my focus at that time. I think that does play a part since it's a higher percentage of African American here. I don't believe race it has something to do with it, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't have a lot to do with it. Because like I said, being 40 from Quincy, proud person from the project, we were black and African American there, and we kept up our property well. And moving from Atlanta, spending 25 years there, they was all African American, and I'm accustomed to mansions and nice places. I lived in Decatur, Georgia, and Decatur, Georgia is one of the best on the map in the world. So that was all African Americans. I think race has a lot to do with it, but it's a lot of mindset. Also, I think there's another issue that needs to be brought up. In East Cleveland, you had more African American people have businesses compared to now. They had storefront business. Even if they had mom and pop stores, one particular store, they kept it up, and everybody went to mainly African American businesses to do their day-to-day shopping. The retail, grocery store, the laundromats, all of them was African American businesses. Now you go through East Cleveland, you have other races. So I feel that the other races came in at a point where they purchased the African American businesses for a low price. And a lot of African American people were preparing themselves for retirement. And a lot of the kids didn't want to take on that responsibility anymore. So they either sold out or passed it along to their children. Well, if you don't train a child up to be responsible, business-minded, they don't know the day-to-day. Running a business is not a quote-unquote learn overnight. It's learned over time and an experience. So I feel that we as African American people dropped the ball, number one. Number two, I feel that the African American people did not pass the torch. And number three, I feel that our politicians is not doing enough to collaborate with other surrounding cities to keep it up. Now, it's not one snowflake to make a ball. I think it's a lot of that contribute to it. And with me being in a perspective of being in a place where 90% of African Americans doing well and 90% African American non-working and still doing well, I don't think race plays a huge part. It may play a small part of the piece, but I can't say it played a huge part.
Okay, so you don't think what about racism?
Racism, I do agree, because of the lack of racism can contribute to it. And when I mean contribute to it is because of the jobs, the opportunities, the contracts, the education, the training, all of them has a factor to do with it. Now that could fall under racism and not race.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So from your estimation, because you've lived in East Cleveland, you've had family there, and you've lived other places, and then we spoke about Atlanta, and I don't know that Cleveland or East Cleveland could be compared to Atlanta, but there are certain similarities across the board.
Yes.
What's your experience with racism? I mean, specifically, even your outlook and the way you view things about East Cleveland. Have you had any experiences with racism that have really stood out or impacted you?
Well, racism, my experience can be approached every day, all day, if you allow it to, my opinion. But if you educated and aware and prepared for anything to come your way, I think it's a beautiful thing. Now, racism is still alive and well today, but it's all in what your perspectives are and what you plan on doing to combat it. And being an African American female, you have challenges every day, all day, if you allow that to happen. But see, I don't allow that to happen to me because they just look at you and assume. But you can't assume by a person by their looks. You got to give the person an opportunity to respond to you and address their needs. So you just say, well, I'm just going to give you less. Oh, no, you're going to bring out your best for Jeannie Joy, okay? If not, then we're going to take it to another level. So racism has always been a factor, always been a part of society. And it's still, to this day, is a factor, but it's just reigned over. And it's just in different forms and different levels now.
Okay, so could the same be said for inequality? How do you think inequality has impacted the city of East Cleveland?
Meaning collaboration with each other, I think that could help. Giving a person the equal opportunities. If we saw that something, for example, how East Cleveland has changed during the business transitioning from mostly African American business to other races, when we saw this equality going on, we should have stopped it at the door. We shouldn't allow the flood to come in. It should have been opened up and talked about. We should have had town hall meetings. Our political people normally see what's coming down the pipe before the normal, everyday walk of life person come down the pipe. And then, as you mentioned, now with the parents, the mother in the household now, it's enough just to keep up with day to day than others. I think that other people should be watchdogs to find out what's going on and keep the community together. Go ahead.
So talk to me just a little bit more about your perspective about the politicians. So on some level, would you say, or how would you explain the role of the politicians in the city of East Cleveland? If you're saying that they have sort of an aerial perspective, they can see what's coming down the pike. What's your opinion about things that have occurred in the city of East Cleveland with the political climate being what it has been over the last maybe 20 or 30 years?
First of all, the politicians, nothing go down without getting approval from City Hall, we would say. They know when the businesses are coming, they know what they're leaving, they know what perspective concerning the tax base. So they know the outcome of the past, present, and future. Second of all, the politicians are not reaching out to the community as much as they could and should. Reaching out in the community meaning that informing the residents of what's going on, I think is a lack and slacking of residents being involved in the political scene. And then not keeping them aware. Matter of fact, I think the politicians want you to be uneducated. That's my perspective. They really don't want you to challenge them. But they realize that the people bring them in office. You're there for the people, not to pad your pockets. So I say they politricks, because they're always coming up with something.
Okay.
And I feel, just to recap, I think that we should be more involved. If the people can't come to you, you come to the people. But you have perspective way before everyday walk of life person has perspective of what's going on.
So do you think the residents in the city of East Cleveland, because they have been uninformed about a lot of policies and things that have taken place economically in the city, do you think, or let me rephrase that, what do you think the citizens have gotten together to fight for. If you don't see that they come together, maybe politically, and it could be maybe a lack of education about issues and that sort of thing, what type of things do you see the people currently fight for? What have you seen them fight for in the past? And what do you think might be viable for them to really place their energies and efforts for sort of changing the system so that the future of East Cleveland looks a little bit brighter?
I think that I can remember the Huron Road Hospital, but unfortunately it was closed. Now all the details, I don't think it was brought out until the end. Now they did rally around the hospital. I remember that it was a national news story. Also, I remember them fighting for the library, which is still currently East Cleveland owned. Then as a whole, and everybody knows Mr. Art McCoy. Mr. Art McCoy have rallies all the time in East Cleveland for whatever the reason may be. And they have different other grassroots activists that are in East Cleveland that plays a big part. So that is not new to East Cleveland, the rallies, but it's just certain ones that they come out. And then I feel like the rallies is always during the day. If you work during the day, you can't participate. And the people who want to participate or have a little bit of knowledge is at in the evening time. So I don't think it's not a fair across the board type of rally if you just get one perspective. And it's usually the same perspective to our organization. And I don't want to actually mention any one particular organization. There's a lot of organizations. So it's always something we can fight and rally about. So I'm thinking that the Huron Road Hospital is one, the East Cleveland Library is another. Now with me just coming back to the lovely city, that's what I know of now. Not what happened less than 8 years ago, I'm not aware of. But since I've been back, that was some of the pressing issues. And we have a lot of organizations that are willing to be a part and step up to the plate.
Okay, so are these organizations within the city of East Cleveland, or are they outside? Meaning, are they in cities that are surrounding East Cleveland, like Cleveland Heights, maybe even our greater University Circle area? Do you know of any other cities that are on the boundaries, the perimeter of East Cleveland, that may have either supported the city in the past, or possibly would even be willing to support the city as it moves forward in the future?
I'm seeing that now in the last 8 years. I have a feeling about East Cleveland. I'm feeling that people have their eye on East Cleveland now. I'm thinking and feeling that other surrounding city want to get that richness of East Cleveland. There's a lot of valuable and history in East Cleveland, including the Rockefellers and the beautiful homes and mansions there. Now that I'm seeing other surrounding areas, University Circle, Cleveland Heights, other areas of Euclid want to be a part of East Cleveland now, which is not a bad thing, but because we need each other. Because I think teamwork make the dream work, because it's not an I in team.
So what do you think may have prohibited these cities from kind of stepping up before now? What do you think? I mean, if you look at that, and I understand what you're saying, that if people come together, and no matter what city you live in, especially for inner ring suburbs that support each other, why do you think they didn't step up before now to help East Cleveland on some level?
It's just like anything else. When something is falling, they don't want to be a part of the fall. And then East Cleveland had their problems too. In the political scene, it was rocky with the different mayors, so they haven't always had it together. And when I would say from the East Cleveland City Hall has not always been airtight and all right. You have the mayors switching and changing and moving. You have the default of the city. People don't know which way it's going. Then a lot of people who want to help didn't step up because they know it takes money, resources, and other people to help out. Now, if East Cleveland was together, and I'm not going to mention any other areas, maybe people would come out and help you. But as long as you've fallen, they're not going to catch you. Now, East Cleveland at the point that they have failed, but they on the rebound. Now you see people want to come back. So they're not going to reach and help you. They're going to let you fall, but now you're on the comeback. Now everybody want to be a part of you. That's just human nature. And then it was too many people who want to be the boss and take the lead. But taking the lead take a lot when the leader don't want you to be up front. So, because you can lead from the front or the back. Nobody want to lead from the back. Everybody want to be the front. So it was too many Indians and not enough chiefs.
Okay. Saying all of that, what would you say are, well, what's valuable about the city of East Cleveland? What are the things of value that stand out about the city? What would their treasures be, if you had to name a few?
I would say still the people. I would say still the property. I would say there's a lot of quality business owners there. I'm not going to name one or the other business ones. Like I said, I just been back into your lovely city 8 years. But I know that the mind structure is still there. I would say it's some beautiful homes there. Mansion homes is not highlighted. It should be highlighted. We have a bed and bath in East Cleveland that should be talked about. We have a lot of artists that's in East Cleveland. We have the wonderful Shaw Band that's East Cleveland. You know, they're nationally known. And we're in East Cleveland.
Okay, okay. So, what would your vision for East Cleveland be? If you were given an opportunity, say, to write an essay about your vision for East Cleveland, a greater East Cleveland, a newer, say, maybe more improved East Cleveland, or an East Cleveland that is a model city, one that's taking the lead and that other cities across the country would want to replicate. What would your vision for the city be?
I think that to get back to the point that at one point it was number one, and I would say we back live in a living color. That's what I would call it, my essay. I would like to see more companies that are ran by young African American up and coming leaders in East Cleveland, businesses. We do have some, but we definitely lack in a lot. I would like to see more African American men that are taking the role in the leadership and training our young people. Each one teach one. I think that would be a valuable source. I think that we should have an academy at the Solar Building that would train our young people, because that's a central location. We have it on Euclid and Superior. I think that should be turned into an academy that any and everybody to come and be trained. The academy would be trained. I'm really involved and believe in East Cleveland young males. I think that we should utilize our seniors. I think our seniors is not being utilized as much as they could and should. We have a host of seniors that had experience, lifelong training that's not being used. I think the seniors should be at every school in East Cleveland when they come in, when they leave out, to tell the young people, pull up your pants, straighten your hair, be a lady. It's something that the school system don't have and they should have. I think that the seniors should be able to be a part of every event, not when seniors is scheduled for seniors. I feel that we don't utilize our youth, our seniors, and our homeless people as much as we could and should. I came from Atlanta, and every event, I don't care who you are or what you are, they had space up front for the seniors, the youth, and the homeless people. And it was just wonderful. And when I go to events, and I tell them every day, all day, those three sources I think we need. My son is 28 years old now, and he went to every event, from 5-star to the community events. and they had a table or a row. We always had seniors, youth, and homeless. I don't care what event it was. So my son grew up and got that experience that a lot of people don't know. And in most cases, if you don't grow up, you usually don't take a part of it. And you usually have to reprogram their mind. So I would like to say I would love to see an academy there for training at the CWRU building on Euclid and Superior. I would love to see our politicians out and have a day for the youth. I would love to see our seniors more active in East Cleveland, mainly in the schools where their minds are developing. I would love to see not people just giving a handout, give a hand up, show them some skills. I would love to have some of these homes that they plan on tearing down to utilize and have the youth to rebuild a couple of those homes in every ward. Have the youth to come in, volunteer for plumbing, electrician, painting, and learn how to use their hands. They don't know how to use their hands. And once you learn how to use your hand, you will never be broke because everybody always needs something done. I don't think that we're doing that as much as we could and should. And I think that we should stop giving stuff away and have an equal opportunity. You get something, we give you something. I remember when we was poor in 40th and Quincy in the project, we did something. Everybody was out doing something. So we learned to get skills, and we call it hustling. Kids don't know how to hustle nowadays. You follow me? They don't know that skill. You follow? You have to make something happen.
Absolutely.
You got to make something out of nothing, okay? You have to make lemon into lemonade. So you have to. And that's a skill you can use throughout your life. And I still use the same skills and projective now in my business.
This is my last question. So I want you to think about this. You've given us quite a lot of information and some really good viewpoints, things that other people in the audience will be able to use and think about. What is it that you could do personally to improve the city and the tone of East Cleveland, or what types of things are you willing to do to see East Cleveland move back to that place of an auspicious place in most people's minds when they think about the city? What is it that you're willing to contribute personally to make that happen?
I do that now. I'm very active in the several organizations in East Cleveland. They call me an activist because I'm always telling people about East Cleveland. Even though I'm not, quote unquote, there, since I have that very positive presence of the past of East Cleveland, I want to leave like I came, with respect. So I'm very active in a lot of communities in East Cleveland, a lot of organizations that are in East Cleveland. I volunteer, I pass out literature, I go to the council meetings. I'm always there to improve, and I believe in each one, teach one, to let them know what's going on, because each person have at least 10 to 15 people that they can influence. So I let people know what's going on. It's something going on each and every week, but you have to be involved in it, and people have to see you out. So if they see Lady Red doing something, they're going to get involved. I just say, come, they're there. So we need to have key, and I'm identifying key people in East Cleveland that would be point people to go to. And I would love to implement this and spearhead this. I would love to have a quote unquote voicemail media for East Cleveland, meaning that you call in one number and it tells you all the events that's going on in East Cleveland. Because to me, East Cleveland is doing a lot of wonderful things, but it's a hush, hush, rush, rush. And if you're not in the circle, you don't know. Luckily, I'm in the circle, so I know. But I think that we should have one number that you call in, you tell what's going on, who's going on, what they're doing. I remember when I lived in Miami, they have an 800 number. You call day or night. It tells you everything that's going on. So everybody knows about it. You keep involved. It's room to room. It's standing room only at events. because everybody know about this one number you call. The Chamber of Commerce is there. I think I would love to have a Chamber of Commerce in East Cleveland. I would love to have that one number, and I would love to spearhead having that one centralized number in East Cleveland. I think that would be a valuable resource that we can have. We can have business events we can have entertainment on the event. We can have what's going on with the youth, what's going on for the summer, what the seniors can do, what the homeless can do. I think that's something that should be considered. And I've been talking about it and telling people about it, but no one has picked up on it.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for spending some time with us and sharing your story with the Voicing in Action Project. Is there any one last thing you'd like to say before we end the interview?
I would like to say in closing, I would like to bring up 3 highlight points. I would like to say it's just an honor to be here and be a part of the project. It's just an honor for me. I lost my father less than a year ago, and I wish that I had an opportunity to be able to interview him like I'm being interviewed. So I'm doing this in his memory. Also, I wanted to say it's an honor, my second point is an honor just to be a part of CASE, because CASE was one of the places that you rode through CASE. You didn't look to the right or to the left for CASE Western Reserve, but I see CASE Western Reserve is reaching out to the community, and it's a wonderful feeling, it's a wonderful opportunity, and people are talking about it now. And also, it's just a wonderful feeling to be in this part of my life, to be of something that is history. I think as African American and people, we don't get a chance to capture our history. I don't think that we need to write more books. We need to tell our story. And with this being a documentary just for East Cleveland, I would love to and can't wait to be able to have this a Nobel Peace Prize for Dr. Rhonda Williams. I know it's going national. I know it's going national. I done claimed it. I call her the secret sauce. I know it's going national. I just wanted to mention my name because I already know it. I feel it. And with my partner, Mr. Brandon King, and I, and Pastor Williams for the Covenant Lutheran Methodist Church, he prayed over the program. He was my first interview. And he prayed over the program, and we all was on the same accord. So I loved it because he prayed over us, he prayed over the program. So I know it's going to be a Nobel Peace Prize, and I just want to be in the audience just to be grinning from ear to ear with a Kool-Aid smile. My time is up, and I want to thank you for yours.